A suspended RGP officer arrested on suspicion of assault occasioning GBH. An 18-year-old arrested in connection with the illegal storage of petrol in the Upper Rock. And GBC's Michael Beltrán presented with this year's Pride Award. Good evening, thanks for joining us. Spain has officially removed Gibraltar from its list of non-cooperative tax jurisdictions after 35 years. The Spanish government says the change reflects international standards on tax transparency. The order is now in effect, with transitional arrangements applying to existing tax periods. The chief minister said after the tax treaty, all the excuses Spain used to keep Gibraltar on the list completely fell away. Fabian Picardo said this was a moment to celebrate the undoing of a historic wrong. Cristina Cortés spoke to him.
This is a huge moment of recognition by our usual antagonist, Spain, as it has been until now, that Gibraltar is a cooperative tax jurisdiction, because being on the blacklist is that you are an uncooperative tax jurisdiction. So now that we're not on the blacklist, we are finally recognized, as we should have been throughout, as a cooperative tax jurisdiction. This will have importance for the purposes of objective assessments of Gibraltar by the FATF, by the OECD, etc. It's one of the issues, of course, that is recited in the context of the treaty as well, that Gibraltar signs up to all those international standards. So I think it's a magnificent moment of recognition at last of the great unfairness that has been perpetrated in respect of Gibraltar for the past 3.5 decades.
What practical effect will this have on people's lives?
So there's different levels of practical effect. For example, people who might live in Gibraltar and have property in Spain, they will no longer be presumed to be acting in a way that is contrary to Hacienda's interests. Hacienda will have to prove that now for the purposes of particular charges and penalties. For people who might work in Gibraltar but live in Spain, if they earn less than 60,000 euros, they won't have to do double taxation. They'll only pay tax in Gibraltar. They won't have to do an additional payment in Spain. For those who are trying to do business with Spain, or whether they're doing personal payments into Spain for the payment of a thing in a shop or whatever, the banks will now be able to deal with Gibraltar banks in a different way without the controls there were before, because we were a blacklisted jurisdiction. So for all levels of business, of work, and for personal business, this will mean that things will be easier.
What guarantee is there that Gibraltar will remain off the blacklist if there's a change of government in Spain?
Well, look, if we are put back on the blacklist, we will not be supporting staying in the tax information exchange agreement, unless, of course, Gibraltar has failed under the tax information exchange agreement. The tax office led by John Lester, with the advice of Terence Roca, and the people who make up that team there, Julia Madaquina and all the others, are scrupulous in the way that they perform Gibraltar's international legal obligations, not least because these are international legal obligations acquired by the United Kingdom, and Gibraltar's failure would put the United Kingdom in breach of its international legal obligations. That's something that we would not countenance. But look, there is politics happening in Spain. Of course, we have a large number of people in Spain who wish us as much harm as possible in one particular political party and in another. And of course, you cannot discount these things. But look, there were people in Gibraltar who were saying we should not sign the tax information exchange agreement. There was a political party in Gibraltar, namely the GSD, with a leader, namely Mr. Sobaldi, who was saying that they would withdraw from the tax information exchange agreement, and we would not have had the benefit of being removed from the blacklist. Gibraltar has done the right thing under the leadership of the GSLP Liberals. We've been removed from the blacklist. We have been proved right. Mr. Sobaldi has been proved wrong. The GSLP Liberals were right. The GSD were wrong on something as important as this. Let us assume now that those parties that were wrong about this, in Gibraltar, the GSD, in Spain, Vox and Partido Popular, will say, well, look, now, this has moved in the right direction. There is now trust established between the tax authorities of both nations. Let's build on that, rather than, if we're ever in government, try and undo that or unpick that, which is the effect of what the suggestion you've made would be.
And finally, once again, we are ever nearer to the 15th July target implementation date. How are things progressing to your knowledge?
Well, things are progressing very well indeed. I hope that we will soon be able to make an announcement about the final dates agreed for signature and for provision and application to begin, and then we'll start looking at how we can ensure that the process of ratification also reaches a safe harbour.
The government is considering changes to the law regarding bail in cases of serious sexual offences involving children. This was announced on social media by the Minister for Justice, who said the safety of our children and grandchildren is of the highest importance to the government.
Public concern was raised on social media after Clayton Busto was granted bail until sentencing, despite unanimous guilty verdicts being returned against him on the 18th of June. 3 days later, the Minister for Justice, Nigel Feetham, wrote on Facebook that the safety of our children and grandchildren is of the highest importance to the government. Mr. Feetham said the government was actively considering whether the law should be amended to provide for mandatory remand in custody after conviction and before sentencing, especially in cases involving serious sexual offences against children. GBC asked the government what changes are being considered and what safeguards are currently available to protect victims. Mr. Feetham said the courts already have power to impose bail conditions, but that the use of those powers in individual cases is a matter for the courts under the current law. He said the government is considering whether amendments are required, but that any proposal would ultimately be a matter for Parliament. Asked about human rights, judicial discretion and the independence of the courts, Mr. Feetham said all relevant legal and constitutional issues are being considered.
GBC also put questions to the RGP regarding any ongoing investigation or safeguarding inquiry relating to a different local Scout leader, as well as possible liaison with Scouts UK. The RGP said it cannot comment on discussions with partner agencies or on any investigation that may or may not be underway. And in other news, an RGP officer who was already suspended in connection with a separate matter has now been arrested on suspicion of assault occasioning grievous bodily harm. The RGP says the 34-year-old British man was arrested after officers responded to reports of an assault in the Prince Edward's Road area during the early hours of Sunday morning. A woman was treated in hospital for bruising, grazes and a suspected shoulder fracture before being discharged. The RGP's Professional Standards Department is now carrying out an investigation. The RGP are appealing for witnesses or anyone with information to come forward. An 18-year-old local man has been arrested in connection with the illegal storage of petrol in the Upper Rock Nature Reserve. The arrest follows the seizure earlier this month of around 1,800 litres of petrol stored in 70 plastic containers inside a cave complex. Police say the man was arrested on suspicion of storing petrol above the legal limit, which is 20 litres. The investigation is now ongoing. The Health Minister has told Parliament that concerns raised within St Bernard Hospital's coronary care unit were not the result of whistleblowing complaints, but formed part of a grievance process. Responding to questions from Shadow Health Minister Joel Ladislaus, Gemma Arias-Vásquez said an independent review had been commissioned by the GHA's Director General in consultation with Unite the Union.
Ms. Arias-Vásquez said the report will not be published because of confidentiality agreements protecting staff who took part. The minister said the review made 17 recommendations, with significant progress already made towards implementing most of them. She rejected the premise of questions relating to whistleblowers in the CCU, saying there had been no reported whistleblowing incidents within the GHA during the period in question. The minister added that no members of staff had officially requested transfers, being removed from the CCU or resigned as a result of any whistleblowing complaint connected to the department. She said any future whistleblowing investigations would be conducted under the government's whistleblowing policy and the GHA's Speak Up policy.
The GSD says Customs and Border and Coast Guard Agency officers are working in poor conditions and remain uncertain about their roles ahead of the implementation of the treaty. Shadow Justice Minister Joel Ladislaus claims officers at the frontier have been left with inadequate shelter during the recent hot weather. She's calling for improved conditions as well as greater clarity over officers' future responsibilities. However, number 6 says work on implementation, interim arrangements and contingency plans have been going on for months with meetings involving all stakeholder departments. It says officers have been on 30-minute rotations to ensure nobody's working in the sun for too long, with temporary shading to be improved as from today. You're watching GBC News. Still to come, GBC's very own Michael Beltrán reflects on receiving this year's Pride Award, a new service designed to make healthcare more accessible for our deaf community, and a historic achievement in basketball. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Stay with us. Welcome back. This year's Pride Award has gone to GBC's very own Michael Beltrán. He received the award at Saturday's Gibraltar Pride events in Casemate. Speaking to Kellyanne Borge on Gibraltar Today, Michael said he never imagined he was in the running and was completely taken by surprise when his name was announced.
It's too much, man. I kept saying this to people all day because they were congratulating me, and I thought, I haven't done anything. And they're like, no, but you have. And it took me a while to really think about that a lot. And it's not something that I've ever really done consciously, I suppose. I've just been me. I've just, put my head down and got on with it. And I've never made my sexuality a part of my everyday life. Like, of course I am who I am, but I don't really talk about it all the time because you just are. We have these great discussions at work. I mentioned this in the speech on Saturday as well, with all of our work colleagues, with my friends, with my family members. We have conversations about LGBTQ issues, so that's always really, really lovely. And I guess just, the visibility part is really sweet. It's something that I never really thought of. I didn't think that anyone would be watching me and thinking, how great is that to see an openly gay man, in broadcasting and highlighting certain things,
Are you hopeful for the future of younger generations in Gibraltar?
I think so, yeah. That's another thing I've learned as well about hanging out with the younger generation at these events at Pride and all the other LGBTQ events that they hold during the year, monthly, is that you connect with these younger people who are so visible in a way that I never was, and other people growing up my age weren't either. I talked about this on the speech on Saturday about how I never felt unwelcome in Gibraltar, but there was never a place to go. We would go, to different bars and clubs or whatever, and you always felt welcome. You never felt like you were going to be judged. But in the back of your mind, you're thinking, I can't really, really be myself. That's changed now. I mean, the younger generation are doing such a good job of, actually, they're the ones that are demanding that things like Pride happen, and they're just very visible. And I think that is a good indicator of where things are going. You're always going to find people that push back. There are young people who are anti-LGBTQ. That's going to happen. But it's all about changing minds and telling them, look, it's not something to be afraid of. It's not something that you have to try and deconstruct. Just understand what a person's lived experience is, I think.
What would you like to say to someone young listening to this today?
Nowadays, I can only imagine with social media being ever present in your life and being bombarded with all sorts of negative comments and messages, you just got to put that to one side. Be who you want to be and find that found family, because sometimes it's very, very difficult. Not everybody has a positive coming out story. Some do, and that's great, and you have a community and a family there. But find a found family if you can, and just continue to be you.
Congratulations to you once again, Michael. In other news, a British Sign Language interpretation service aims at improving communication for deaf patients across GHA facilities. The new Convo BSL system uses QR codes to provide near-instant access to qualified interpreters, offering high-quality video and 24/7 availability, eliminating the need to book interpretation services in advance.
The service will also be introduced in GHA ambulances, allowing paramedics to connect with BSL interpreters immediately during emergency call-outs, helping ensure clear communication from the first point of contact. GHA Director General Dr. Paul Wossio described the initiative as a significant step forward in supporting deaf patients, saying it would improve accessibility while enhancing clinical safety. Health Minister Gemma Arias-Vasquez said the rollout would greatly improve communication accessibility for deaf patients in Gibraltar. She said the service had been introduced through a collaborative effort between the GHA Neurodevelopment and Disability Support Office and the government's Supported Needs and Disability Office. She added the initiative reflects the government's commitment to improving accessibility, reducing communication barriers and ensuring all patients receive dignified and inclusive care.
The National Archives is calling on members of the public to help shape a new exhibition marking 80 years of Gibraltar's listing as a non-self-governing territory at the UN. The exhibition, titled Gibraltar at the United Nations 1946 to 2026, will open at the Fine Arts Gallery from the 14th of September.
The Archives is asking people to come forward with photographs, documents, letters, newspaper cuttings, campaign material and personal memories linked to Gibraltar's journey at the UN. Deputy Chief Minister Joseph Garcia says the exhibition is not just about official records, but the lived experiences of Gibraltarians, whose stories form part of the ROC's 80-year relationship with the United Nations. One he described as a story of resilience, determination and democratic expression. Submissions close on Friday the 17th of July. For more information, contact the National Archives.
Over £7,000 has been raised so far by the 7 kilometres 70 days challenge for Calpe House. The last run on Sunday was attended by runners young and old, as well as the chair of the Calpe House Trust, Albert Boyo.
70 days of running or walking 7 kilometres daily for Calpe House has come to an end, with around 60 people coming together for the final run. Organised by Kyle Vanda and Nicholas Bassano, the challenge has seen an outpouring of support from family, friends and many who have first-hand experience of staying at Gibraltar's home from home. Chair of Calpe House Trust, Albert Boyo, and Sir Joe Bossano, who was Chief Minister at the time Calpe House was established, thanked everyone for their support, distributing specially minted coins to the organisers and those who've taken part.
Since we've opened a new building, we have had 19,000 patients and escorts. Some of them are repeat patients. But that gives you an idea. If the population of Gibraltar is 33,000, it means that everybody has been affected with Calpe House. So we are extremely grateful for people who take their time, devote their time to raise money for us.
Going to London because we cannot provide the necessary medication or treatment or skills here is always a trauma because you are taken away from your background and your family. So, in a way, it's a little piece of Gibraltar in the middle of London, so that when you come out of the hospital, you are back at home just like you do when you come out of St. Bernard's here. And I think it's the most important thing that we've done in respect of something that has helped more people than you would expect.
When we started and I interviewed you back in April, it felt like a really big thing. Now that you've come to the end of it, it has been a big thing, but how are you feeling?
I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. No, it's been fantastic, to be honest. It's actually gone by quicker than I thought. Yeah. At the beginning, it was a bit of a struggle. Like we were saying, like it's 60-something days left now, but then it just goes by so quickly. And it's a proud moment for us, actually, to be honest.
People have been supporting you throughout, but today there's really been that feeling of community. Have you felt the support throughout the whole 70 days?
100%. I mean, I don't think we would have been able to do it without them. And it's been a mix of emotions today, to be honest. As Nicholas says, I don't know what we're going to do tomorrow, but it's sad in a way that it's over.
And fundraising-wise, when we first spoke, we were talking about maybe about £4,000. I checked this morning, well over 6,000. Do you think we'll hit 7,000?
Well, we hope so, just to tie in with the 7th team. But the more money we can raise, the better.
I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will. Yep.
They have hit over £7,000. If you're interested in making a contribution, the Just Giving page details are available on our website. Over to sport now. The Gibraltar Rugby Sevens and the PSA Squash Open both reached their respective conclusions after attracting some top players to the Rock. But first, a historic achievement in basketball. Here's Jose Mari Ruiz.
Gibraltar have claimed their first ever medal at the FIBA European Championship for small countries. They beat San Marino 72-67 in the bronze medal playoff at the Tercentenary Sports Hall. It was a fast, physical game from the off. Gibraltar led for most of the match, but San Marino made it a nervy finish. They refused to go away. With 3 minutes left, Gibraltar led 70-59, but a late San Marino push made it uncomfortable 70-65 with 19 seconds on the clock. Gibraltar steadied the ship and saw the game out 72-67.
The team has really done really well. You know, they put all the effort. They've been listening to everything that they've had to do for the last month and a bit. So, you know, they truly deserve this medal, and it comes from a long time. You know, we have to thank everybody who's played for us in the last. You know, it's been 40 years since we've been here, so obviously not winning any medals. And we have to thank all those players that put a piece to the chicks and all the ex-coaches as well. Those have been part of making all this happen.
And it was Malta who would end up claiming the championship after they beat Andorra 90-76 in the final, with their player Jordan Tucker winning the MVP award and Gibraltar's Jamie McGrail making it into the All-Star 5 team. And whilst the basketball was happening, two of the biggest events in the local sports calendar were also reaching their conclusions. The Gibraltar Sevens brought some of the finest club rugby talent to the Rock. In the men's open, Campion Sevens were the standout side, beating the Ibex Macaques 31-5, while Sefton won the women's open and Rotorblades took the men's bowl. And in the top division, the men's elite, the Mavericks, claimed top honours. Over on the squash courts, the PSA Gibraltar Open wrapped up with both top seeds delivering. In the men's final, Welsh player Rhys Evans beat Englishman Dylan Roberts to take the title. In the women's final, Italy's Cristina Tartarone defeated England's Emily Horwath to complete a clean sweep for the number 1 seeds.
And that's all from the news team. Don't forget, you can always catch up on our website. We leave you tonight with pictures from the 5th Gibraltar Pride celebrations at the weekend. You can see more in a special 30-minute review programme on GBC TV tomorrow night. For now, have a good evening and good night.
Happy Pride! I think it's very important to celebrate an event like Pride, as we've got a lot of young queer people, a lot of people that don't feel accepted in their homes.
Happy Pride! I think it's important because there are still a lot of young people who are scared of maybe coming out.
I'm here with my son, my daughter, my husband.
Everybody's different, and we have to embrace that, and we have to respect that.
I've never won anything like this, so this is ridiculous.
Happy Pride!
Pride is a protest, and we need it.
I'm so old. I've seen so much discrimination over the years, and now that discrimination has disappeared. So it's really important we have this.
Happy Pride! Part of the LGBTQ plus committee, I'm really hoping that people know that we're here for them, that we're here building a more inclusive Gibraltar, and we're always going to be here. As long as they need us, we will help them.